Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Public Speaking. And this week we are going to talk about informative speech. So let's start from the beginning. When we're talking about informative speech, I want you to understand the main goal of this speech. Unlike persuasive speech, which the main goal is to persuade the audience, the main goal of informative speech is basically to provide a new point of view or new information to an audience. So you are not asked to persuade your audience. Instead, you are asked to inform and to share this new piece of information or a new angle or a new point of view in looking at a specific thing. So we want you, I want you to remember when you're preparing for your informative speech is that the role that you'll take as you're presenting your information is that you're going to take a role of a reporter or a teacher. So what you're going to do is you're going to report information or you're going to teach specific information. So you're not allowed to, again, to try to persuade your audience. You're also asked to be as objective and as unbiased as possible when you're presenting information. So you get to find this angle on how to present new information, specific point of view, and you're trying to present it as an audience in a way that's going to be engaging and informative, but not persuasive. And then I also want to talk about 6 types of informative speeches. So I understand that you have completed your topic proposal and you will hear back from me soon. And I do want to make sure that your topic proposal or the topic that you're going to choose for your informative speech will fall under one of the 6 categories. So either you're going to talk about a specific object, such as, for instance, you're going to talk about 3D printer because it's so fascinating and you want to share how the technology happened and how can it produce a 3D copy of an object, for instance. You can also talk about people or specific person. For instance, if you're a fan of The Office, you may want to talk about Steve Carell and how his career, in his career, he has produced a lot of great work and he was able to embody different unique characters, and he's such a great actor. Or you can talk about Mindy Kaling, for instance, because she was one of the first female writers for The Office, and she has been a very productive writer, actress, as well as producer and director for a number of different TV series as well as a movie. You can also talk about events. For instance, this is September, so of course my mind would go to September 11 and how that impacted the life of people who live in New York City, for instance. Or you can also say how 9/11 affected the life of people across the US. And you can talk about specific area in the US, for instance, and what has changed since then. So you can talk about events. You will notice that when you chose to talk about an event, it's going to be using a historical approach. It is going to be very specific about a specific events that have a ripple effect on the society. You can also talk about processes, and processes usually involve how to, for instance, how to sit properly so that you won't hurt your back, because most of the time you do your office work, you do your school work in front of a computer, and so if you are sitting way too long, you will feel that your neck started to hurt, your back starts to hurt, and so how can you sit properly so that you're not going to hurt parts of your body? You can also talk about concepts, such as when we're thinking about concepts, I would be thinking about the Big Bang Theory, for instance, not the TV series, but the concept of Big Bang Theory. You can also talk about issues. For instance, the pandemic, the pandemic with COVID-19 is an issue, and how that affects the livelihood of people between 2020 to 2021, for instance. You can also talk with concepts. For instance, I was thinking of the concept of long COVID. So apparently, if you have been affected by COVID, yes, you were, and you survived. Yes, you were miserable for instance, a week or 2 weeks, and then you started feeling better. But it turns out that scientists have found there is this long-term side effects of getting COVID. And so the concept of long COVID would be very interesting to discuss as well. So those are some of the examples of concepts, issues, objects, people, events, and processes that you can choose for your speech. The next one that I'm going to talk about is informative strategies. So there are some techniques that you can use as you are basically explaining these concepts of these people or these events, whatever it is the topic that you chose. So the first strategy that you can use is descriptions, which gives audience a mental sense of an event, a process, or an object that evokes sights, sounds, and smells. So for instance, if you want to inform your audience about specific event that happened at a specific place, you can definitely use these kind of descriptions to evoke that sense of sights, sounds, and smells. You can also use definition, especially when you're talking about concepts or issues. It is very important that you use definition to explain or describe the meaning of that concept or issues. You can also use explanation to provide information on why something is the way it is. For instance, go back to that idea of long COVID. You can provide explanation, scientific explanation as to why in the long term or in the long run, people would still suffer from the side effects of being COVID positive, for example. You can also use demonstrations, which is another term for how to. It's going to be a bit challenging when you're doing demonstration because you may need some space to do that. You may need some equipments to do that. So think, carefully as you're planning your speech. Or the last one that's also very important is you can use narration or storytelling. A lot of the time, people like to use this technique or strategy of narration to open up their speech because it will help them, or it will help set the mood for the audience as well. So especially when you want to bring your audience to a specific time in history or a specific place, then a narration would definitely also helps you to bring your audience to that moment. And then I do have several tips for delivering informative speech. The first one is keep it simple, because you will only have 5 to 7 minutes to deliver your ideas. You may think that 5 to 7 minutes sounds like a long time, but it will fly by so quickly. So I do want you to plan carefully on how much information that you're going to put into your speech. I also want you to make sure that you provide a new piece of information or a new angle in looking at something, because if you're presenting information that your audience already know, it's not going to be interesting, and there's nothing new that you can connect with your audience. You want to engage with your audience and make sure that they're interested in the information that you're providing. And then finally, I do want you to make it personally relevant, because it helps build your credibility. For instance, if I want to talk about COVID, I would definitely want to relate how that the pandemic has affected me and my family, and how that has affected my livelihood as well. And then I will be able to talk about, the side effects of COVID, or whatever it is that I would like to talk about. But one thing that makes it clear, and that one thing for sure that I want you to do, is build that connection, have that personal relevance with the topic that you chose. And the last one is I want to share with you tips on how to prepare for your informative speech. So the first one is I want you to start by developing your preparation or working outline, because this outline asks you to write down your full speech. And I want you to follow the outline template that is provided in your module. This will help you make sure that in the introduction, for instance, you have the engaging opening. You have the statement that establish your credibility. It also has sign for transitions, and it will help you to remember to include transition in your speech. So as you write your outline, always ask yourself, what new piece of information am I presenting in this speech? Am I providing a new point of view? If you don't answer yes to either one of these two questions, I want you to go back and rewrite your outline to include this important piece. And then once you have written your outline and submitted to your instructor, submitted to me via D2L, start practicing. You can practice in front of a mirror, or you can book an appointment to see your instructor and practice with her or practice with me. So I'm going to post the schedule so that you can sign up via Zoom and practice with me. I'm here because I want to help you succeed, and I want to help you become a better public speaker. So utilize that time, and I can provide you with tips on how to improve on how to get better as you deliver your speech. And then I promise you, this is my last slide. Time yourself as you practice. Did you meet the 5 to 7 minute requirement set by me? If it's too short, how are you going to provide more information? If it's too long, how are you going to edit your speech? I also want you to check the assessment toolkit that I've already included in the previous week, but I will include that as well in this week model. I want you to ask yourself, have you created a strong introduction? Did you write a strong opening? Establish your credibility. How about transitions? Did you transition well from your introduction to the body of the speech? Did you cite important information in the body of the speech? Did you end your speech strong? Yeah, these are really important questions. And then I want you to create a speaking outline. This is a brief outline written on cue cards that has bullet points. So I want you to resist the temptation to write in full sentences, because I don't want you to look down and read on your cue cards. I want you to maintain that connections, that eye contact, and establish and maintain that connection with your audience. So instead, write in phrases to help jog your memory. And then lastly, I want you to practice in front of the camera, because I want you to be able to play back what you have recorded and ask yourself, what can I improve? Are there too many or any focal fillers, for instance? Do I tend to look down and look at my cue cards often? Do I need to pause here and there to make some sort of a statement when it comes to an important information that I'm trying to deliver? Do I speak too fast? Can I speak slower? How to do that? Maybe I need to take a deep breath before I deliver my speech. So these are important questions that you can ask yourself as you practice and as you assess yourself when you are preparing for your speech. I know that the speech is not due until the following week, but I want you to use this week to basically prepare the outline and practice. All right. Good luck, everyone, and I look forward to your informative speech.